Life has a way of knocking you down, sometimes so hard that you wonder if you'll ever get back up again. There are seasons when the weight of disappointment presses so heavy that you can hardly breathe. There are moments when you feel buried beneath rejection, pain, and failure, but I came to remind you today, what tried to bury you has no authority to finish you. You are not finished yet. You may have been through storms, but storms do not last forever. You may have walked through fire, but fire does not consume what has been refined by God. You may have cried yourself to sleep at night, but tears are not a period at the end of your story. They are only a comma. Your chapter is still being written. Your story is still unfolding. Hear me clearly. You are more resilient than what you've been through. You are stronger than the valley that tried to break you. What the enemy thought would end you is about to elevate you. What you thought was a grave was only a place of planting. What looked like the end was only the beginning of a greater version of you. Don't let failure make you think it's final. Don't let rejection convince you you're forgotten. Don't let weariness trick you into believing you can't make it. This is not the season to stay down. This is not the season to quit. This is the season to rise again. Rise with new strength. Rise with fresh vision. Rise with the unshakable conviction that if you are still breathing, you are still destined. You see, purpose does not expire because of pain. Destiny does not dissolve because of delay. The dream God placed inside you is not canceled because of difficulty. If you have breath in your body, you still have chapters to write, battles to win, and mountains to climb. You are not finished yet. So shake off the dust, wipe away the tears, stand on your feet again. The same power that carried you through yesterday will carry you into tomorrow. The same God that opened doors before will open doors again. The same grace that kept you when you should have fallen will raise you to walk in new strength. This is your moment to rise again. This is your moment to believe again. This is your moment to step into everything that has been waiting for you. You've been through too much to stop now. You've survived too much to quit now. You've endured too much to stay down now. You are not finished yet. Life has a way of testing the core of who we are, pressing against the fragile places in our hearts until we wonder if there is anything left to give. When disappointment comes, it rarely knocks politely. It barges in, overturns our plans, shatters our expectations, and leaves us sitting in the ruins of what we thought life would be. Some of you know the sting of betrayal so deep that it left you questioning your own worth. Others have walked through failure so heavy that the shame clings to you like a shadow. And still others have endured silence, long nights of unanswered prayers, waiting and wondering if God even remembers your name. But hear me, the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still standing, means that life did not succeed in destroying you. There is a resilience in you that even the worst storms could not wash away. There is a strength in you that even the deepest valleys could not bury. There are moments when we confuse being knocked down with being finished. But there is a difference between being wounded and being defeated. The enemy of your soul wants you to believe that the setback is the end of your story, that the closed door is the final chapter, that the pain you carry is permanent. But pain is not permanent. Storms are not eternal. Disappointments are not destiny. What looks like a period is often just a pause. Life may have pushed you down, but the power within you is still calling you to rise again. You were created with the capacity to endure, to bend but not break, to fall but not stay fallen, to be wounded but still find the courage to heal. Every dreamer has faced moments where the dream seemed impossible. Every fighter has known the weight of near defeat. Every visionary has encountered seasons of delay, but those moments are not signs of failure. They are signs of formation. The struggle is shaping you, the delay is preparing you, the hardship is teaching you strength you never knew you had. You cannot rise again without first being pressed down. You cannot discover resilience without first being tested by resistance. What you thought would end you is secretly training you for what's ahead. Look back at the places you thought you would never survive, and yet here you are. Look at the tears you thought would drown you, and yet you are still alive. Look at the losses you thought would empty you, and yet somehow you are still filled with purpose. You are living proof that falling down is not the same as being finished. You are evidence that broken places can still be rebuilt, that shattered pieces can still be gathered, that weary souls can still find new strength. The ashes of yesterday are not your burial ground, they are the soil from which your new beginning will grow. Your story has chapters that have not yet been read, victories that have not yet been won, and horizons that have not yet been seen. There comes a time in every life when the weight of circumstances feels unbearable, when the walls seem to close in and hope seems like a distant dream. It is in these moments that fear whispers louder than faith, and doubt tries to convince you that your best days are behind you. But what you must understand is that fear only has power if you agree with it. Fear thrives in silence, in the places where you let it echo unchecked in your mind. The voice that says you are not enough, that you have failed too many times, that you are too broken to recover, is not the voice of truth. Deep within you there is another voice, a whisper that calls you forward, that reminds you of who you were created to be, that urges you to rise no matter how many times you've fallen. Fear will always present itself at the threshold of your next level. Every door you are meant to walk through will have fear standing at the entrance, trying to convince you that you do not belong there. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move even when fear is present. You cannot wait for fear to disappear before you take the step, because fear is persistent, but so is faith. When you decide to rise, when you decide to believe again, when you decide to move despite trembling knees, you awaken a strength in yourself that was lying dormant. You discover that you are not fragile, you are forged. You are not finished, you are just beginning to unfold into who you were always meant to be. There is a reason you have endured what others could not. There is a reason you are still standing after seasons that should have destroyed you. The fact that you survived means there is still something inside you that life could not take away. There is still purpose wrapped around your existence. Every scar you carry is not a sign of weakness, but a testimony of survival. Each tear you cried watered the ground for your next harvest. Each battle you fought trained your hands for greater victories. Do not despise the journey that tried to break you, because it is the same journey that made you strong enough to rise again. So many times we look at what we lost and fail to see what we gained. You may have lost people, but you gained clarity. You may have lost opportunities, but you gained wisdom. You may have lost time, but you gained resilience. Life has a way of subtracting what you thought you needed in order to multiply what you were truly destined to have. Do not measure your future by what left. Measure it by what still remains inside you. If you still have vision, if you still have breath, if you still have the courage to try one more time, then you are not finished yet. The setbacks were never designed to stop you. They were designed to prepare you for a greater rise than you ever imagined. There are seasons in life when you feel like everything you built begins to crumble, when the foundation beneath your feet shakes so violently that you wonder if anything will remain standing. These are the moments that test not just your endurance but your identity. You begin to question if you are truly capable, if you truly have what it takes, if the vision you once held was even real. It is easy to believe when everything is working, when doors are opening, when people are applauding you. But what defines you is not what happens in seasons of ease. It is what you do when everything around you seems to collapse. In the crushing, in the breaking, in the silence, you discover the depth of who you really are. You are not defined by the failure. You are defined by the courage to stand back up when failure tried to take you out. Life has a way of exposing what is fragile and refining what is unshakable. What you thought was the end of you was really the process of stripping away everything that could not go into your next season. Sometimes it is not the enemy that closes the door, it is destiny. Sometimes it is not rejection that pushes you away, it is redirection. You may not understand it in the moment, but hindsight always reveals that the very thing you thought disqualified you was actually the thing preparing you. If you had never been broken, you would never know how strong you really are. If you had never been rejected, you would not have been forced to step into the places where you truly belong. If you had never lost, you would not value the victories the way you do now. What you must remember is that rising again does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, almost invisible. Sometimes it is simply deciding to wake up one more morning with faith. Sometimes it is taking one small step when everything inside you wants to quit. Rising again is not about speed, it is about determination. It is about saying to yourself, I may not be where I want to be, but I refuse to stay where I fell. I may still be healing, but I am moving forward. I may be walking slowly, but I am walking nonetheless. Rising again is not an instant leap to the mountaintop. It is a steady climb out of the valley. Every dream that has ever been fulfilled, every vision that has ever come to pass, every breakthrough that has ever manifested was born out of someone's refusal to stay down. The ground was never meant to be your permanent address. The valley was never designed to be your home. You may visit there, you may walk through it, but you are not meant to stay there. The same spirit that lifted you in the past is still alive within you today. The same grace that carried you when you thought you could not take another step is still present to lift you again. The fact that you are still breathing is evidence that there is more for you to do, more for you to see, more for you to accomplish. You are not finished yet, and the rise within you is greater than the fall behind you. There comes a point when you realize that everything you have walked through was never meant to diminish you, but to develop you. The struggles that seemed unbearable were shaping your endurance. The losses that left you empty were carving space for something greater. And the silence that felt like abandonment was actually the soil where your faith was being rooted. It is easy to see broken pieces as wasted fragments, but those very pieces are the materials for your rebuilding. You are not disqualified because you have scars. You are validated because you survived what tried to destroy you. The rise is not only about standing tall again, it is about standing taller because of what you have learned. Every warrior carries marks of the battles they fought, and those marks tell a story of survival. Your scars are not shameful, they are proof that you walked through the fire and came out refined. They are reminders that you have endured nights when it seemed morning would never come, and yet you lived to see the dawn. Too often, we look at our scars and wish we had been spared the pain, but without them, we would never understand the depth of our own strength. Without them, we would not recognize the resilience that has been built inside us. Rising again does not erase the evidence of where you have been, it redefines it. What once symbolized pain now becomes a testimony of persistence. You must not confuse delay with denial. Just because it has taken longer than you expected does not mean it will not happen. Just because the door did not open when you knocked does not mean it will never open. Time has a way of preparing you for what you were not ready to handle before. Some of the very things you cried over in the past would have crushed you if they had arrived too soon. The waiting season is not wasted. It is the training ground for your future victories. You are being refined, sharpened, and matured for a level you could not have handled before the fall. That is why rising again carries more power than the first rise. It is not naive, it is seasoned. It is not uninformed, it is wise. It is not fragile, it is fortified. The rise is not just for you, it is for everyone watching you. There are people who have counted you out, who assumed the fall was final, who believed your story ended when life knocked you down. But when you rise again, you prove that no voice of doubt can define you, no circumstance can confine you, and no failure can finish you. Your rise becomes an invitation for others to believe again, to hope again, to fight again. You are not rising in isolation. You are rising as a testimony to what is possible when resilience meets faith. There is a power inside you that cannot be silenced, a fire that cannot be extinguished, a purpose that cannot be buried. You were never meant to stay on the ground, because every fall is only a setup for a greater rise.